Yeah, we have to keep talking about it. We have to keep calling. We have to keep emailing. We have to keep texting. Anything you can do to get their attention. But yeah, it has been a huge blessing in my life personally. I've learned a lot. I've made a lot of friends. I've had incredible opportunities because of the platform that you folks have allowed Ryan and I to have on here, and we're very fortunate and we're very grateful for all of you. It's been quite a ride. Besides the government, people don't want to drive on a semi. I'm sitting on a ramp. Oh, yeah. Oh, you're sitting on a ramp right now? Holy crap, like, you're on the live and you're driving? I mean, not driving actively, but you're parked? I search TikTok like I used to search Google. So, Vicky, fun fact, actually, that is why this is happening. TikTok was eating Google's market share for search engines because people are using it as a search engine. What's funny about that is a couple months ago, I actually noticed that I was looking for a recipe. So this is just a little lesson about how this works. But basically, um, I was looking for a recipe for banana bread, and I looked up the recipe for banana bread on TikTok because I knew that I was gonna get a 30 to 60-second video that's just gonna tell me the ingredients and tell me how long to put it in the oven. Because tell me you guys have not tried to log on to a recipe site, and the recipe site's like it's like my mother's father's son's daughter's half sister's heritage is half West German, and so because of that, they made their own kielbasa. And now my hamster's dead and I had to bury them. And then literally it's just this long, it's like you're reading their entire freaking everyone's life story and their whole entire like in their whole entire family in order to get to turn the oven to 425. Like, and I just can't with the recipe sites. And you're getting bombarded with 1,000 ads. Yes, 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 exactly. And then heaven forbid you don't have one of the if heaven forbid that you do not have one of the ingredients, because then you're going to have to look up another recipe. And so what's going to happen, what started happening was TikTok started, I don't want the history of banana bread, I want actual banana bread. Exactly. Exactly, Vicky. But yeah, so basically, like, I started looking for it, and I told Ryan, I said, "Hey," I was like, "Babe, I just looked up a recipe on TikTok instead of Googling it." Um, the poor hamster, he died too young and had so much life left to live. It was all that kielbasa, for sure, all that homemade kielbasa, and he never got to eat the banana bread because it took 10 years to bake it. But yeah, so the way that so that's how Google makes his money. Google makes his money off of ads. And so Google makes his money off of search engine ads. And so what they got really worried about is if people are searching on TikTok, then they are not searching on Google and they are not making impressions on Google ads. And that's dangerous because it interferes with their money, right? And so they got scared. And so and understandably so, but the thing is you have to compete. You can't just outlaw your competition. I mean, unless you can, apparently, right? Unless you buy off Congress people like they did. They just bought off all the Congress people. And yeah, amazing. I wish we could do that. I wish it was I wish that normal people were able to buy off Congress people to not act against our best interest. Then Google should improve. Duh. I couldn't agree more. Do you have a website explaining everything you do? Yeah, Rolling Solo Lucas, absolutely we do. It's degreefree .co. If you Google degree free podcast, will come up too. But we should be the top search result for degree free. Yeah, Degree Free has a list of our podcasts, and since you're driving, that might be good for you to listen to. There's a ton of ideas about different types of jobs to get into. Something really cool that I think a lot of people don't know. It's funny too because our podcast audience and our TikTok audience are almost totally separate from each other. They don't really cross over too much. So a lot of people on TikTok don't even know that we have a podcast. And on our podcast, we actually interview people from big companies that are degree free. So we've interviewed people from Dell, Nike, Meta. We have interviewed people from Meta. Dell, yeah, Nike, Meta. There's a bunch of other big companies, but they're probably less well known. They're not just like big name companies. And then we have some people waiting in the wings too right now with from other like FANG companies, which is going to be very cool, and some engineering companies and some space companies. So we kind of have a pause on the ad. We have a pause on the interviews for now. Sorry, I was still thinking about Google monetizing with ads, but we have a pause on the interviews for now because what we're doing is we're trying to focus. We have our 4-week career change crash course. Our first cohort is going through starting April 4th, and we have 7 more days before that starts. And so if anyone wants to enroll, there's 7 days left for you to enroll. But Ryan and I are starting prep meetings tonight to make sure we're all ready to go. Because I've been doing research for all of the folks in our crash course. Some of them are in this. Some of them are in this. Let's see. Don't use GoFundMe or start a GoFundMe. Start a GoFundMe to buy a congressman. That's funny. Do you think that now that we know the truth, the Congress will abandon the ban? That's a really good question. I kind of wonder. If they might, because I think that they've realized that we're a lot more engaged than they thought, and or a lot more active than they thought. And I think they are kind of worried. A lot of them are getting worried about being primaried in their elections, because that's what, I don't know if you guys saw Pearl Mania's video, but that is what they're afraid of. They're afraid of primaries because those are the expensive ones to win. Okay, Lucas, yeah, good luck. Listen to some of those that are really inspiring, can be super helpful. What jobs are we talking about today? Top 5 most in demand from BLS. Jeremy, our mod, is trying to get us back on track from talking about the TikTok ban. Thank you, Jeremy. Let's see. I was just joking. I do wish the average person could influence Congress. I'm not joking. I think that that's awesome. Guarantee most of those congressmen run to TikTok for their campaigns. They do. The one that was in the video that I just made had a TikTok until a couple of weeks ago, and then he deleted it. Convenient, right? But the thing that ultimately is for me, and I'm not, like I said, I'm not. I don't have a political party. I'm not about it. I'm not about it. But what I am about is I do not believe that the federal government should be able to decide what apps I have on my phone. No. That's gonna be a no for me, dog. I'm gonna pass on that. Hey Preeti, what's up? Your daughter just made her booked her call with me to talk about her goals for the course. Very excited about that. So Jeremy has us looking at what are the top 5 highest paying or most in demand jobs in the US. Does anyone want to guess? What do you guys think the top most 5 in demand? What do you think the number 1 most in demand jobs? Thank you, Vicky. I really appreciate that. Anyone want to guess what the top most cloud engineer my job? Yes. Up there, up there. Let's see. Interesting. All right, we have a couple different ones. Here. I want to pick the one that is most, okay, RN nurse, IT analyst, data engineer. Jeremy, are you reading it? Or are you guessing? If so, your guesses are really good. Your guesses are very good. So I think we should probably take out, are there any that don't require coding? Vicky, that's a very good job. That's a very good question. Literally anybody can be a cloud engineer. Anime questions AI. That's awesome. I love your attitude. I think that's fantastic and phenomenal. And I think that that's awesome. And if you want to come on our podcast and talk about how to become a cloud engineer, you are more than welcome. Because that's what we do. We interview people. Like I said, you missed it, but I was talking about, we have a pause on our interviews right now, but we are taking requests for people that want to come on and talk about how to become, how to get into their job degree free. So if you want to do that, DM me or Hannah at degreefree.co. That's my email. Email me, and we'll get you in to talk about it, because that'd be really cool. There'd be a lot of people that would be very interested in that, and that's a good job. So yeah, guys, number 1, software developer. We're not surprised. I was guessing, but I read enough to know roughly what's in demand. Yeah, I figured. You do your research. You know, Jeremy Mitch knows his stuff. But yeah, so software developer is number 1. You can be a software developer completely degree free, 100,000%. The next one is nurse practitioner, actually. So nurse practitioner is number 2. That one's not really surprising. Anything healthcare related, I almost pull it out, because for a lot of degree free people, that's not really in the cards, because 1, they're always trying to get out of healthcare because it's not fun to work in. We definitely need healthcare workers, but I don't think that's a good reason that people need to be them if they don't want to. Like, need does not dictate what job you do if you don't want to do it. So you can be a nurse practitioner if you want, but that's got to be kind of tough. And then medical and health services manager. So that's going to be people that run different teams in medical. Yeah, Vicky, that's what I mean. It's I don't talk about nurse practitioners or PAs because you need degrees in order to have a certain medical license. I talk about that a lot actually. It's so funny. One someone we were going to interview on the podcast that's in the lineup is actually a plastic surgeon who believes that so this is a surgeon that believes that you can be trained into surgery. And there's another one, there's a guy that I just hit up actually, he's an ER doctor and he actually believes the same thing. And it's that I find to be very interesting because that is how they used to do it. It used to be training. It used to be training and practice. And over the years, and they did this to nurses too, but over the years, what they did was they just increased the amount of schooling, and then they increased the cost of the schooling too, right? And so that's the thing. Interestingly, too, what's happening in the U.S. is it's really hard. If you're born in the U.S., it's really difficult for you to become a doctor because it's really expensive. So because of the debt. So what a lot of people that are coming into the U.S. right now, they go to medical school outside of the U.S. and then they come back without that same amount of debt, and then they're doing really well. But U.S. based people who decide to become doctors have a really really tough climb up to actually being wealthy, even though they earn really high. So that's kind of interesting. Number 4, like I said, PA, right? We know still paying off my student loans. A lot of people are. A lot of people are. Yeah, Vicky, I agree. Apprenticeship for medicine would be great. They started to do it with more. It's becoming a lot more prevalent with CNAs and surgical techs and stuff like that. But I get like I personally, and this is my hot take. Like this is my opinion, okay? But like I personally would rather have somebody who's had hands-on training, sorry, who's had hands-on training versus the way they currently educate medical students. And I think you can look at the healthcare outcomes in the US and you can see that that's probably an issue, right? Like obviously what we're doing now is not going great. And I personally would rather have somebody who's been practiced. I would. Then you get into ethical issues though, which I realize, I understand this is a complicated thing, right? Um, but then you have to figure out like how do you train people and who do they get to train on, and like what about kids and what about pregnant women, and like how do you allow them to work on them if they don't have a certain amount of experience, and then there's a liability. So understand why it's not like that. However, I think that we're going to have to reassess pretty soon because we have a lot of healthcare need and not enough people to meet that demand. Number 6 is physical therapist. We know that. Interestingly, someone just hit me up on LinkedIn. And actually, if you want to add me on LinkedIn, feel free. Hannah Maruyama at LinkedIn. But Maruyama. Gingers are cool and Congress is dumb. I agree. Financial manager is okay. So financial manager is I actually just had a guy hit me up on LinkedIn and said, "Hey, I work in finance. I'm degree free," which is so funny because back in the day, if you followed along for a long time, Jeremy has probably seen this. But back in the day, for whatever reason, I don't know what the algorithm was doing, but the algorithm was pulling all these like in college finance bros from like Ivy League colleges onto my page. And I don't know why that was, but it was a fun time. It was a fun time because those guys are delusional, honestly. And they are so insulated from most Americans' lives that they're just so out of touch. Like they can't believe that people can't afford to go to college. Like they can't fathom how someone like, what do you mean you can't afford to go to college? I'm like, well, my daddy's not paying for it. That's why. That's the reason. And so it was funny because this guy basically just said like, hey, I'm degree free, I work in finance. He said a lot of people that work in finance are degree free. He started working, he said he was a 401k support desk analyst, and then after that he just kept working his way up. Yeah, they don't understand actual money, they understand it on paper. Yes, exactly. Kind of. Yes, yes. Um, and so basically he was just saying like he worked his way up and then he got his series 7. I don't know, there's a series, a Sam, you might know. But he got a series 7 license, and now he's a financial advisor. That's what he does. He manages people's money. They don't know how much milk costs. No, they do not. But they don't need to because they have daddy's Amex in their back pocket, or mommy's Amex, whatever. I'm an equal opportunity offender with that one. IT manager. Anyone can be an IT manager. Trade my stock strategy and make 5K per day. They were all scams. Yes. They were all scams. Web developer. Did anyone see the sorry, speaking of this, last night, Ryan and I, managing money is not fun. Yeah, it can be tough. My stepmother-in-law is a financial advisor. She's very good at it, but it's a tough job. It's tough jobs. Yes, exactly. They're just salesmen for financial products. That's so funny because that's what Ryan said too. Ryan has an economics degree, and he was actually an accountant at one point too. Oh, Rose sent me a rose. Thanks, Rose. Um, and yeah, so we were actually talking about the fact that like most, oh my goodness, 10 roses. Wow. Thank you. But yeah, so we were talking about the fact that, whoa, thank you so much. Wow. Wow. Thank you so much. But we were talking about the fact that, yeah, financial advising is just, you work in accounting, you're not a CPA though. I think that a lot of people are like that. Yeah, Jeremy. Like, I think that there's like a decent amount. Not most. I don't think it's most. Sorry, I don't think it's most, but I do think it's a decent amount. I do think it's a decent amount. Another finance. Another finance. That's cute. Another finance job is bank manager. A lot of bank managers are actually just they rise up through the ranks. They work it. They just go in and they put in the time. Um, oh, thanks, Rose. I will do my best. Rose is a beautiful name, by the way. I've always loved that name. Sorry, off topic to web. Oh, that's what I was gonna say. Okay, did any of you see the Bernie Madoff documentary on Netflix? Because yesterday I was getting all steamed up at it because we were watching it, and multiple times in this documentary they imply that the people that worked in his office didn't know what he was doing because, or basically that what happened in Bernie Madoff's like fund office happened because the people that worked in the office didn't have college degrees, so they were degree free. And I think that that is just the funniest thing to imply because the 2008 financial crisis was pulled off entirely by all of these Ivy League bankers. And I'm just like, okay, all right, sure. Yeah, Bernie Madoff pulled off the scam because his office didn't have 4-year degrees from NYU. Sure. All right. Yeah, that's the reason. That's the problem. That's the problem. That's the issue. Anyway, it was like multiple times though. It was so funny. Multiple different people that they interviewed. Yeah, it was really insulting. I was like, multiple different people that they interviewed implied that it was because people in his office only had high school diplomas. It happened basically played on the insecurities of investors. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And it's funny too, because like I didn't know, I think I was a little too young to remember that happening as much as it did. Because like 2008 for me, like I wasn't that old when that was going on. It affected my parents pretty rough because that was they were buying their first house and it was a big deal. And yeah, we got my family got smacked, which is probably why like yeah, it just changed a lot of people's lives. It changed a lot of people's lives. Rose took my number one gifter badge. I've never been out gifted before. Go Rose. Yeah, thanks, Rose. And hey, Jeremy, you've held that title for a long time, so you're good. My schooling only prepared me for my job by like 20%. Mortal Enigma, what do you do? If you don't mind me asking. And also props to you for that amount of self-awareness. I don't think you understand that it takes like I have a lot of admiration for people who are willing to admit and then also talk about what they've learned in that process of understanding that. And I don't think you understand. Like I really, really admire that amount of self-awareness. I don't even think that I have it. It's something that it's my goal to be that self-aware and to be that realistic and to be willing to talk about something, look back on an experience I had and go, wow, like this is what I learned from that. Here's how I'm going to fix it going forward, or here's what I'm going to do differently, or here's how I'm going to help other people from this experience and this wisdom that I have. So I have a lot of admiration for you for that reason. Um, you're an engineer in the oil field, yeah. Oh wow, so you actually like where I have a really good friend that works in the oil fields. Actually, they live up in Montana. Um, what? Yeah. So you work up north. You're awesome. Just found you and truly proud of you. Lady Gaia Collection. What a kind comment. Thank you. Financial ads often play on FOMO. So did Madoff. Yeah, absolutely. You know, so funny too. Mortal Enigma is so funny. So my friend, she might come on the live. Sometimes she comes on my live, but her husband works in the oil field, and my best friend in the world, and her husband works in the oil field, and he said that the people that were teaching him, so he had to go. He's a GI Bill. Oh, South Texas for me. Oh, I'm in Texas too. Um, and her husband had to go and get something I forget. He's a supervisor. I forget his exact job title, but he had to go for a few classes to the local college, and he has a GI Bill to cover it, right? And so he went to the local college, and the professor who had been teaching it actually had real life experience, had worked in the fields for oil fields for 20 years, and then became a teacher, right? And so he became a teacher, and then he retired. And the person they hired to teach the class was somebody who had not even graduated from the class and had no experience, and all he did was use the PowerPoints from the other professor. And that's who was teaching people to run things in the oil field, which to me is just mind blowing. And it just kind of proves that the whole thing is like is a house of cards. The whole thing's just it's just like it's a pyramid scheme. It's Bernie Madoff. It's literally a pyramid scheme. It's like, oh, here you have to pay for permission from these people to do work. But in order for them to get hired to sell you the permission that you need to get work, they have to go and they have to get permission from other people. It's just like the most ridiculous thing. It's Chris. I agree with everything you're saying 100%. Wow, thanks, Chris. How do you think we can save TikTok? I think that the best thing that we can do is, and this is something I'm doing right now. Any like what I'm doing is I'm trying to do media outreach because the thing is too. I don't know if you guys have noticed this. I have not seen a single news outlet covering an actual TikToker. I have not seen a single news outlet that's actually had on somebody who's on TikTok and actually uses TikTok. All I see is shills with corporate talking points. I do not see anybody who is actually on this app, who is actually a user of this application, who has actually benefited from this application, like many of us have. I have not seen a single one of them on the news. Not on Fox, not on CNN, not on NBC, not on freaking, not on Vox, not on. I'm trying to think of other ones. Not on Bloomberg, not on the New York Times, like nowhere. Not on the Washington Post. I don't see it anywhere. I don't see it anywhere. And to me, I think that's the problem. I think that's the issue. And I think that they need somebody who's not a shill, who didn't get issued a memo with talking points to talk about it. So I'm pitching some people to see if I can get on the news and actually like talk about this a little bit because I think that that's the most ridiculous thing. Yeah. Yes. Jeremy Mitch Armand just reminded us all. Calmly call your congressperson and tell them you will primary against them. I think that that's a great idea. And honestly, it makes me want to consider doing that same thing. Like I said, just to start trouble. Like you want to start trouble, primary your people. You can primary somebody by literally just submitting paperwork. I think you pay a small fee and then now you're on the ballot and now you can just start talking because you're a candidate. You don't have to fundraise, you don't have to do anything. Just register, just sign up, just run. Sorry, like the worst thing that can happen for me, I've thought about doing that before, but then the concern would be like, what if, like, and for most of us probably, because a lot of us are not politicians. Like, I have no desire to be a politician. That's gross. Like, the concern would be if you started getting traction, that would be concerning because then they might actually vote you into it, and then unfortunately, you'd have a job that you don't want. So that's something to consider if you're not willing to actually do it at the end, which is why I have not done it because I don't want to be a politician. I don't want that on my resume. I have some self-respect. The guys who got a CDL at 21 started making six figures, had a big head start on me financially. Mortal enigma. You know what's so funny? I just on the podcast we just talked about the fact that I read this crazy article from this ER doctor where he had done the math on a FedEx driver. I'm sorry, on a UPS driver versus himself. He was an ER doctor, and he, by his own charts, a smart guy, obviously, like pretty good at math. And by his own calculations, it would take him 27 years to catch up to the net worth of the driver who started at 18. Simply because of so it's the magic of compound interest, right? And I'm not a mathematician, I'm not an economist, like I'm not a financial guru person, but you just know, like the way I learned it was when my mom taught me, it was like grains of rice, right? There's a story, there's a Chinese story actually, and it's a legend about the grains of rice. And this little girl is offered either, vast riches, or she's offered a grain of rice that doubles every day, right? The amount of rice doubles every day, and every single grain of rice doubles every day for every box on the checkerboard in this story. And or it's a Chinese checkerboard, and so it keeps happening, keeps happening, and every day that happens every day for the entire board, and by the end of it she literally has all of the rice in China. And that's the way that compound interest works, right? If your interest compounds and then now you're earning interest on that new larger amount. And so if you start making money and investing that money at an early age, even if you just invest very little, in a decent in any decent like retirement savings account, you're going to have money later. Primaries have virtually no challenges. It's their biggest fear. Yeah, that's the issue. That's the issue. Um, there's actually a really good group. If any of you are interested in this, I should drop it in the chat. But James Altucher is an amazing podcaster. James Altucher, if you don't know who he has one of the top business podcasts in the world. This guy has a huge podcast. He's been running it for a long time. And he started a group on Facebook called How to Run or You Should Run for President. And basically he outlines how to run for president simply to get more attention to an issue that you have. And so if you have an issue, like a core issue that you want to see changed in the world, you can register and run for president and be given a platform to speak on these things. And there's really very little chance that you would ever get elected, right? Because it's all, it's a mess. But for people like us, there's very little chance that we would get elected. But what it does is it's good practice, and it's a good way to be able to speak about something you care about. I know that sounds crazy, but do you think the Federal Reserve will be gone? I think the Federal Reserve should be gone. For those of you that don't know, the body that controls our money is a private company. The Federal Reserve is not part of the government. They're just this incestuous financial institution run by a bunch of elites. Sorry, isn't the security debate a decade-old debate, just new variables? Yeah. I would agree with that. I'd agree with that statement. The rice in the checkerboard. I'm a former driver, OTR, professional driver the last 9 years. Hey, sir, Mr. Jason, what's up? You'd vote for me? Thanks, Lady Guy Collection. I wouldn't vote for me because then I'd be afraid I would win. That would be terrifying. I think so. Here's my proposal. I think that we should do jury duty to decide who gets to be president. And I think the only way that we rule people out is if they say that they want to be president, they cannot be. Because I think only crazy people want to be in charge of everyone else. If you're like, yeah, no, I do a great job being in charge of literally everybody. Yeah, all right, you're a crazy person. No, anybody who thinks that, you don't want in charge. Going into debt for 5 years instead of making an income put me 4 to 500K behind those guys. Yeah, it's pretty wild. Mortal Enigma. We were just Ryan and I were just talking about that because we have a friend who is an engineer at a big company, and it's kind of crazy because he did everything he should have, right? Got a good STEM job. And it's just been interesting because without, just being completely degree free, I've been able to match him. And that's pretty wild. And it's just because I researched and I looked differently at the skill set, and I was more analytical about picking the skill that I learned and leveraging it correctly and knowing how to package it. And I think that's what we're teaching in our 4-week career change crash course. And I'm actually really stoked to see how this changes people's lives when they're able to apply these tactics to their own job search. Because really, too, the cool thing about helping people get different jobs and get new jobs is that it's amazing, because what I love about it is that I'm able to see people get what they want. Like, I'm able to see people accomplish what they want so that they can live how they'd like to live. And that's really cool. That's really cool, because I personally have seen a lot of friends that graduated college and felt extremely trapped by their decision because they don't have enough money to go back and change what they did. And then they're also really, really, they have sunk cost fallacy about the time that they spent. I see this. I have 2 siblings that were in the military and got the GI Bill. And then what's interesting is that even with that, sometimes it's not enough. It's not enough to make it worth the time and money they're still going to spend, and unless they use it really strategically. And so that's something too that I can just see the sunk cost for them, right? Because for them it was very expensive, right? Like, not only did they pay for it, but they also paid for it with their time and their work and their years. And so they're really, really sunk deep into it too. I have one sister who is degree free, and then I have 2 siblings that they're they have degrees, and so or one's about to have his degree and the other one does not, and the other one already does. But same thing. It's been interesting. It's been interesting to see that. Yeah, sometimes it works. Ever seen Parks and Rec town hall meetings? They're hilarious. Leslie Knope for president. Yes, they get money from thin air. Yes, they do. Wow. Would this debate speed up the Web3 space and create new laws that are applicable to the real world? Frick, hopefully, right? Because that's the thing. I think that's the thing that's really on the table. That's something that's really on the table is they are what's on the table is free speech on the internet, like on the new internet. That's what's on the table. And that bill, I don't know if you guys have read the bill, but I think it's 1135. You should. If you have not, find it and read it. It's about way more than TikTok. They want to be able to control what we can say and do to each other. They do not want us to be able to talk freely like we do on here. They do not want us to be able to exchange money. I think ultimately too, a lot of that bill is actually about like anything peer to peer. So they don't want us to be able to talk. They don't want us to be able to send money that they don't control. I think that that's all ramping up, and they're trying to get ahead of it. And so that bill is about way more than TikTok. Way more than TikTok. It's crazy. But we're the first line of defense, right? So we have to stop it. Is TikTok getting banned? I don't know. Kind of looks like it. Kind of looks like it. Um, but yeah, hopefully it would create better laws. Hopefully it would create better laws. Yes. Ooh, sorry, folks. Yeah. Thank you, Jeremy. Thank you for keeping me on track. QA engineering. I did look them up. Looking up now. Triller will be the next thing. I think there's always hope they hate Zach. There's always hope. We shouldn't leave until they kick us off. And once they kick us off, we should just find somewhere else to go. Yeah, so I think for this, that CSQA looks pretty solid to me. Mr. Jason. That one looks pretty solid to me. Let's see. Hold on. I'm looking at these certifications. Oh, sorry, Lucino Victor. I was reading for a somebody who's on our YouTube stream. Sir Mr. Jason. I'm looking at that, and actually what I think you should do is I don't think you should get a certification. I think you should do some studying. I think you should take a Udemy course on it, and then I think you should just go apply for entry level QA roles. That's what I think. If you want to make that switch, that's what I would do. Because I was looking at those and they all have like ridiculous prerequisites that are definitely not necessary to be in QA. What you need to be in QA is you need to just test software. You can even do that by like going through, you could click through. There's a website called AppSumo. AppSumo does basically offshoots. They do cheaper versions of software for like solopreneurs, so people who run tech businesses like on TikTok. Like they hate Zach on here. TikTok is paying off my phone bill and for food. I'm gonna be nowhere. They hate Zach. If you are making money off of TikTok, you need to basically what you need to do is you need to start focusing on YouTube Shorts. That's the only thing you can do right now, other than calling and emailing your senator and your representatives all day, every day. I've been berating mine. I'm probably going to go up there. I'm probably going to go up to where my rep is and literally go talk to him because I am. It is unacceptable that they think that they can control what we put on our phones, and I'm not going to sit idly by while they think and let them think that that's acceptable. No, it's not. But yeah, so Sir Mr. Jason, what I would do, like I said, so sorry, I was in the middle of my thought. I'm getting better. tell me if what I need to improve, folks. I'm trying to get better at answering both the streams at the same time and making sure I'm tracking and then not being silent also because then you guys are just sitting here with me being silent while I'm reading. But yeah, so basically Sir Mr. Jason. All right, so we have a commenter on YouTube that is trying to be a QA engineer and is currently is a former driver. And so okay, so to be a QA engineer, what I think you should do is I think you should self-teach. I think you should self-teach and then you should go find a site like AppSumo that has very um find a site like AppSumo that sells software, like new software to people who use software. So not like big companies, not like Salesforce, not like Oracle or SAP, like huge companies with SaaS, right? What you want is like you want like little apps that are just going up and they need somebody to test and make sure that they're okay. And so what I would do is I would just like start clicking through them, like look at the code. There's a way that you can pull the site up and you can read the code. So if you notice that something is buggy, right? Like, oh wow, when you click on this and it just goes in a circle. Like if you're trying to click through a flow of a website and it doesn't work, just just make a note of it and see if you can find what the problem is in the code using YouTube. Like pull up YouTube on one side and have somebody walk you through how to do QA testing. And just do it for front end because obviously you can't see the back end of whatever they're using because you're going to be looking at the code on the front end. But still, you can do that and like catch errors, catch small glitches, catch small bugs, and then type them up and then send them to the company on their email and just say, hey, I did this for you. I do freelance Q&A work. And after you've done like 2 to 3 of those, you're done. You're done. I've been taking a lot of Udemy courses now. I did a lot of manual testing and I'm trying to start doing automation with Udemy. So continue with Udemy. Yes. And then, Sir, Mr. Jason, you need to build a portfolio. Start using OBS to record yourself clicking through somebody's website and then documenting the bugs and then send that video to them along with the list of bugs that you found and the origin of the bugs and like how, like if you can figure out how to fix them, that's great too. But mostly just tell them what they need to fix. Because what that's doing is you're showing them that you just did QA testing on their site, right? Um, and that would easily get you an entry level role. Do you think email development is a good entry into web development? Email development, do you mean email marketing? Because I think email marketing is a huge niche that you should get into. And I think that's a great thing to get into. I'm in customer service trying to switch careers, thinking of becoming a pen tester. We're running a pen test on the application we're working on at work right now. But yeah, customer service, trying to become a pen tester. What have you done in order to teach yourself that? I just thought getting a certification would be more leg up and be hired at the position. I've been looking every week, and there's a lot of QA jobs. So, Mr. Jason, I don't think you need a cert. I think that if you've been teaching yourself and you can show that you know what you're doing, I think you're going to be fine. I don't even think you need that. I don't think you need that. I think you just need to apply for jobs. How many jobs have you applied to? Offer mobile versions of websites. Small businesses often only have a desktop web page. That's true. That's really smart. That's a great idea for business, Jeremy. Learning Python and SQL. Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, shoot, you're well on your way. All you have to do is apply for jobs. So something that I think is probably worth talking about is, folks, a lot of people, and I've discovered this with friends and people that I've helped that are trying to make transitions and they have college degrees, but something that you folks do, and it's probably because learned it in college, but you think you have to know everything before you apply for jobs. You do not. They are going to train you so much. You need the minimum effective dose. This is a Tim Ferriss quote. You need the minimum effective dose of knowledge in order to perform the task. They will train you. People will bend over backwards to help you. It's going to be fine. All you have to do is show up to work, be happy to be there, be willing to learn, and ask questions humbly of people that know more than you, and they will explain things to you. People love to teach people. They do. People love to teach people that are curious and willing to learn from their knowledge. Make it easy for somebody to teach you, and they will. Yeah, that's actually probably the best advice I could give anybody. If you're trying to make a job change, you do not need to know everything about this new skill. You do not need to be fully qualified. That doesn't matter. Like, throw that out the window. You need to know just enough to complete the tasks. And not even that, sometimes you need to know just enough that you can apply and know what they're talking about when they're interviewing you. And if they like you and they like your attitude and they like the fact that you are willing to learn and teach yourself and you want to work hard and do a good job, you're going to be fine. And people are going to help you. They are going to help you. That is going to happen. And so I highly recommend just applying for jobs. Like Sir Mr. Jason, apply for jobs. You need to just apply. You've done enough. You've done enough. You need to just start applying. And if you're learning Sexy Vader, where are you going when this app goes away? Crazy. No, I'm just kidding. We're going to YouTube. And then if anyone wants to follow along with us, degreefree.co/podcast, just Google the Degree Free podcast. My husband, Ryan, and I have a podcast. We do it weekly. We're thinking about going up to 2 shows a week. One for Degree Free News, and then one is an interview with a degree free person who has a job, and we'll talk people through how to get to that job with, being degree free. And so we're going to be doing that. And then probably YouTube is where we're going to go. YouTube is where we're going to go. I don't even like talking about it because it's just such a shame. But yeah, so that's what we're going to do. And folks, I think we're coming up on the end here. So my advice, oh yeah, thanks, Sam. Yeah, please do. Because if not, we'll just move the live. If anything happens, we'll just move the lives over there. That and LinkedIn right now. If anyone wants to join me on LinkedIn, feel free. Hannah Mariama at LinkedIn. And then if you do want to be in our Forward Career Change Crash Course, there are a few seats left. You can apply at the link in my bio or go to degreefree.co/career change and you can apply there. And we're going to be helping people go from the job that they have now into the job that they actually want, teaching everything from applying, upskilling, interviewing, negotiating, like cover letters, resumes, LinkedIn profiles, everything. So yeah, if you wanna join us, please do. And folks, thank you so much. Like I said, I really appreciate your time. I appreciate your attention. Time is the most precious thing you have, and I'm really grateful that you're spending it here with all of us. And thank you so much for giving it to me. I really appreciate it. And yeah, I don't know what's going on, folks, but we're gonna be all right. We're gonna get through this, and I will see you all on the other side. Thanks, Mortal Enigma. I really appreciate you being on the live tonight too. All right, bye, y'all. Good night. Thank you. Mr. Jason, it's not that you're wrong. You just need to start applying. I think that you've done enough, in my opinion. I think what you need to do now is you need to start stretching that muscle of applying. And yep, get your portfolio together. Show people that you know what you're doing. Take video of it. OBS, open source software. You can download it and start recording yourself going through people's websites. Go to AppSumo. Look at those apps. Sign up for them with a dummy email address and start testing them and see if they work. And then yeah, Virtual Studios code when setting up my environment. Perfect. Yeah. Yeah, do that. Do that. Record yourself doing it, talk through it, like I said on the video, and yeah, and then start applying. And like I said, if you want help walking through this entire process, please feel free to join our crash course. We start on April 4th. There are a few seats left, and so if you want help walking through all of this whole transition, we can totally do that. But yeah, I'm gonna sign off for tonight. But like I said, apply. Just start applying. You got this. And all right. Y'all have a good night. Thank you so much for watching. Appreciate it. It's been a good time. Thank you all.